just the generation right above us, the I guess, our older brothers and sisters, I would say, there's, in how do you say, imbalance in their upbringing or kind of resentment. Also, weren't many examples of, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not criticizing, but like in your God brothers or God sisters of like good, solid families. I mean, there are, but just because it was an emergency, like missionary situation, like the focus on raising children, right? It was a little bit overlooked, and so I like to be a part of missionary activities, preaching, being a part of the community and serving the temple, doing family programs. I like that. And my observation is that there's this natural, I guess it's like an organic, focus in our peers of really putting kind of the family first type of thing. There is, kind of this focus of the family of churning the milk to kind of make it sweeter, giving back, charity starts at home type of thing. I mean, we have seen, and also in my peers also, because there wasn't a balanced way of giving Krishna consciousness, so to say. Many have left or left Krishna consciousness, have become atheists, or even I have friends who've become Christian. And, when that happens, I'm just like, wow, you like our philosophy is so deep, and something so much simpler or closed-minded. How did you go, And so in saying all of that, I kind of feel, I do feel sometimes like, oh, we need to wake up. Alachua's like a sleeping giant. We need to wake up and preach and do things. And then just by seeing what's happening organically and from the past and everything like that, I kind of see that, you know what, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay that there is this emphasis of giving, that extra attention and care, and of course we can give more. So just an observation, since you mentioned that, and maybe how to balance it, where we can continue to do the missionary activities, but at the same time, unfortunately, there wasn't very good examples of how to, with like a solid family and seeing that.
Yeah, that's a fact, and you'll see that, of course, many of the devotees who also joined didn't also necessarily come from solid families, and it tends to have a knock-on effect. But it was a fact that, Srila Prabhupada, vision, send all the children to Dallas, send them to Vrindavan, and Prabhupada had quite certain revolutionary ideas, and in these, I would say that it wasn't always, he was basing things on Shastra, but on what would spread Krishna consciousness and what kind of social model he would develop. In other words, Prabhupada would be flexible in certain things. For those devotees who were with Prabhupada, Prabhupada would sometimes say, do this, and then if it didn't work, he would say, do that, and go in the exact opposite direction. So Prabhupada wasn't rigid. He was extremely flexible up until when it comes to Shastra and real principles of Krishna consciousness. So yes, be family oriented. When I taught, for instance, mission, I mean, I was just over in Sadhu Sangha, and I spent 3 days talking to devotees. And if I met youth or adults who are having children, then my common approach is, okay, are you moving into the temple? Not that move into, all right, I was sannyasi, and for me it's a lifelong commitment. But brahmachari guru kule vasadanto guru hitan, this is our shastra, that everyone, especially from the varnashram point of view, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, all render service to spiritual master and engage in that type of activity. When that training is there, which I mentioned before, that also gives a type of impetus to missionary activity where devotees don't have anything else to do. So like you said, grihastas have got their hands full. So similarly, their missionary activity, aside from setting the example of what it means to be actually a Krishna conscious family, which in itself is preaching. Well, that's really an ideal family, and we're showing the world how actually what family life and what life is really about. It's about self-realization and going back to Godhead. But still, grihastas will not be able to focus energies to the same extent as those who actually do that full time. So, okay, but then are the grihastas training their children that when they finish high school stay or something, that they don't have to run off and go to university for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, but that they first move into the temple for 2, 3 years, like the Mormons do. And I'm sure you've seen, but Mormons, boys, 2 years preaching globally. But for them, when they come back, they've got a profession and a job waiting for them and is available for them because they're very good. Mormons have really set up and, they've practically taken over a state in this country. I don't know if you've ever seen that presentation that, I forget now his name, there's 4 generations, and how with each generation, one aspect of, and this is just a generic phenomena that takes place in institutions, but especially religious institutions, different things just start to be lost. So, first generation, there's Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada's personal presence. Second generation, you've got Prabhupada's disciples, okay, people who heard directly from Srila Prabhupada. Even that's now very rare. I used to take a lot of input from Tamal Krishna Maharaj because he got so much guidance from Prabhupada, and the only person who is with Prabhupada now, who's, for instance, on the GBC, is Jayapataka Maharaj. So then that goes. Then my generation is the dying breed. Yeah, we're getting extinct. And after that comes those who heard, and evam parampara praptam, sakaline hamata. So Krishna says, yeah, now the influence of time will be, is that even what Krishna personally comes to give, that also gets lost. So it really requires real careful study of Srila Prabhupada. That's one really aspect that we have of all of Prabhupada's lectures, everything Prabhupada said, his letters, and what to speak of devotees' experiences, biographies, and these things actually are a real wealth of knowledge. So somehow or another to make a picture for that and a path forward from all of those, one that has minimum fallout. And that really is what International Society for Krishna Consciousness is meant to be. And part of that is actually our social model. What is our social model? International society. We don't function as a society. We're functioning like a church. But people have a role when they're in a society, and then you have rights and you have obligations. What are the rights and obligations? Sort of ashrams were somewhat clear on. We're pretty clear on. We know what brahmacharis are and grihastas and sannyasi, vanaprastha, sort of working on it. But in terms of, okay, what's the responsibility and what are the rights of, Brahmins and Vaishyas and Shudras, and how do they interact, and are even willing to accept the fact that I'm functioning in that type of role and that everyone is not equal. Men are not equal, women are not equal, men and women are not equal, everybody's different. And guna karma vibhagasha, and how to, and because we're living in a society where they're trying to make everybody equal. I mean, not ISKCON, but we're talking about the world around us. That everybody should be equal and everyone should have equal rights, and that's not what we believe in. It's not Bhagavatam. We talk about different people have different abilities, so everyone may have a right to play a piano, but everyone's not going to be like a Liszt or a great pianist. You may pound away on a piano as long as you like. It's not going to happen. Every kid draws paintings, but they don't end up becoming Rembrandts because they're not equal. So that's how do we actually engage? We need to embrace a social model for the very reason that we're still conditioned souls.